Get ready for some great music and great stories. Band in Seattle starts right now. Welcome to Band in Seattle. I'm Xander Denke, and with me is Sean DeTore, associate producer and host of The Mixtape on MyNorthwest.com and Cairo Radio, to talk about tonight's bands, the Ferns and Mindy Lind.
These bands are great tonight. Kelly and Alton Fleek, also known as the Ferns, hail from a forest compound up in Skagit County. And the music that comes from that little sanctuary could perhaps be described as otherworldly, mystical, ethereal, or some other word that means not from this planet. With heavy bass, synthesizers galore, and Kelly's haunting vocals, the Ferns are truly original.
I guess we're going to space. We'll be right back with the Ferns.
Music is spirituality incarnate. I think music is a workbook for the soul. It's a great way to get all the stuff out of my head that I don't want there.
But music is such an emotional form of communication, and it's such a cathartic expression. Our name used to be Mardu Fox. It was very hard to pronounce and to spell, and so now we're the Ferns. These plants have the habit of sending off a shoot and creating another one. If you take care of them, you end up with hundreds of Ferns. Their ranks have been diminished because our dog eats them, which I worry about that. Does she hate the band? I don't know. She hasn't really bought any albums, so it could be that.
That song is a battle cry to take care of yourself. A friend of ours had so much sadness happening in his life. So Stronger Still is really a little bit of a soul blanket for him. A way to say, we're here for you, you're okay. This feels like rock bottom, but rock bottom is sometimes really healthy. We see ourselves as a visual project. Music and visual art are synonymous to us. We used to do our own projections, throw in shapes as I call it, but that became a pain in the rump.
And they approached me first. You know, I think we were kind of obvious musical bedfellows. Their style with that kind of electronic rock, I mean, it was just so obvious what I was into, because I was just listening to techno and like heavy metal at the time. I was friends with the Ferns, so I knew about their music, I knew kind of what they were going for and how they wanted to look on stage.
He came there with an idea. He was just also very experimental.
I was like, I think I know exactly what images to put with you guys.
I first met Kelly when she was trying to get into Club Broadway. She was underage,
And I had a tremendously awful fake ID.
It's, doesn't look anything like a Washington State ID, but Kelly actually tried to come in, and I was working the door, and I wouldn't let her in.
I thought he was handsome, but I was very angry with him and very annoyed because I didn't get what I wanted. Fast forward, I saw him at a party, and I'd forgotten entirely who he was, and he'd forgotten entirely who I was. And it was then at that point love at first sight. He began coming to the restaurant that I worked in. I like to say he was stalking me. He likes to say it's not stalking if she marries you. That's his comeback. One day he came down to the coffee shop that I frequented, and I got my sunglasses on, smoking a cigarette, looking like tough stuff, trying really hard to ignore him. Started walking up the Ave, and he followed me. And we literally were quite literally, moving in with one another just a couple of weeks later. Fortune is very much about someone being consumed by greed. It's about fear and loathing of our own condition.
What I really try to get across in Fortune is the rumbling at the depth of the sound. As you feel Alton's bass kind of like warp out is the best way I could say it. The way the bass dies, you can see I have these strobing spiders, the way that they go to black.
So we are at Sanctuary Studios, which is a barn in Skagit County. A long time ago, and this is silly to say this now, but it became difficult to be able to afford to live in Seattle. And it's since gotten absurdly difficult to be able to afford to live in Seattle. But we had been fortunate enough to have purchased a home, and we sold it and bought this piece of property. And the only thing that we could afford was a swamp or a junkyard. So we bought a junkyard and slowly cleaned it up over time and converted this barn into our studio live workspace.
And it's the sunlight that kills. And it's the sunlight.
We live in this incredible environment here. I mean, our place in Seattle is also tucked away and dreamy and in the woods. We live at a dead-end road. We would never get a pizza in the city. And then here, we're tucked away on 6 acres. This is the beginning of the foothills of the Cascades. We have a bobcat that frequents our yard.
In the silence, it has a little bit of a dark sort of film noir quality to it. Well, maybe it should be in a horror film or something. It's always a collaboration. Frequently I'm creating a riff or a melody or something, and then she's building a song around it. I do a lot of the production in terms of creating the backing beats, but she sits with me and directs me and give me these great imaginative things to work with, like, I need buzzing and trilling and something that sounds spacey or whatever, and so we have this interesting creative synergy where we're working around each other and together. And
Relationships are work. So when people think that we're amazing, well, yeah, we are. We worked hard to be amazing together. We worked hard to stay in love. It's really easy to like people, but to continue liking them, you have to always run back to your essence. If you're fighting, try to remember why you fell in love with that person. Music is the same. When something gets bumpy, everybody, including us, has a moment where someone's like, I'm walking, I'm done. Usually when we're recording an album. It's just like when you can smell a cake just before it comes out of the oven, you know your album's almost done when you're bitching about it. It is fortune in the grander sense. It's always work, and it's good work, because life should be about good work.
The songs Mindy Lind writes hit you in places that you didn't know exist, much like my blackened heart. Her earnest and clever lyrics match her honey-smooth voice for a combination that is just beautiful. Some people need a full band to make an impact, but all Mindy Lind needs is a piano and raw emotion to leave the listener wanting more.
You don't want to miss this. We'll be right back with Mindy Lind.
Why the hell does anybody play music? What is the point? Because really they're ultimately outside of like hedonism is none. I just do it, and if I don't do it, it feels awful.
I've been kicking, screaming, moaning ever since I'm a sad man. But I'm always hungry and fed, and I'm gonna die trying.
Hi, I'm Mindy Lind, and when I'm not performing with my band, I'm working here in the cloud room.
Fed, and I'm gonna die trying.
Hungry and Fed, lyrically, I would say it's probably one of my best songs. It really means a lot to me. I think it means a lot to people when they hear it, because that's what they've said to me.
Am I acting right? Am I keeping myself at nice? Ooh, I could bathe and bathe for days, but I'll never feel clean.
I started playing music when I sang in the church my whole life, and then I ended up playing the French horn in the band. I went to a performing arts school in St. Louis at the time, and they were like, you can play any instrument. Which one did you want to play? And so I picked up the French horn, and I immediately, it fit my body very well. There was 4 valves on this side and not much to do on the other side, so it's just perfect.
Keep myself at nice. Oh, I could bathe for days, but
When I was younger, I took some piano lessons, but there was a time in which I remember we were learning the Pink Panther, and my piano teacher was like, okay, we're all out of fingers on this one. There was no way to really play the piano as it was intended for sheet music. And it was cool to take that stuff and then sort of make my own style out of it.
mind could lead me. And heaven all this time has left me. Well,
Recluse has got my favorite groove. When I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah! And the video just makes it better. I did ballet and tap dance when I was a little girl, and I didn't know that I was weird. I didn't know that it was weird that I do tap dance and I don't have any I didn't get that. I wasn't a serious dancer, but I did. I put tap shoes on my hands, and then I performed, I think, for the mayor at the time. I did a lot of that stuff, but it wasn't so weird because I was younger and I didn't have whatever that is now that I know that I appear a certain way to people. I have a lot of power in it.
Never did call you man, but I called you home. Well,
I wanted it to be a story about power and isolation, and I think both of those things come across by seeing me dance in the dark and in the light. To have a cool Crip character who was hip, like we wanted to make that version of me just so much hipper than maybe I am in my real life. I have a general rule, which is learn one, write one. So if I learn a song, learn it, take it to my core, I have a new song in my repertoire, and then I also have a new flavor in my repertoire too, and it helps me write a new song. It starts with like a mood or marijuana, if I'm being honest. I'll sit down at my keyboard and I'll like have a big feeling, or I'll have a big toke. And that's what gets me going.
keep me humming, keep me racing and growing. Keep my friends real.
Lowlands, it has a real like southern gothic swampy feel that I would like to keep going on for as long as I can. It's got that one riff. People seem to like this song a lot.
I tend to time in Lowlands. I keep my hands down low, but I'll be gone.
Mindy had posted a Craigslist ad in the former band that they have. It's called Inley, and I think the story is I was the only one who applied for the ad, and came and tried out for the band, and the rest is sort of history.
And then I just remember reaching out to him and being like, hey, so you want to play? And I just had these fantasies about how neat it would be, how to like just have bass and piano, and has that ever been done before? And
I really like her approach to songwriting and what she brings to the table, and it's just a privilege to be able to contribute my little piece to those songs.
I'm gonna have to go home.
Hi, my name is Cahalan Morrison. I play drums in Mindy Lind's band.
I met him because I worked as a music publicist, and he's one of my clients. But he's like one of the best vocalists in town. Every time I hear his voice, it breaks my heart. And so when I was thinking about drummers who could harmonize, it was like pretty obvious that it could be Cahalan.
Playing Mindy's music is really fun. Most of it's pretty kind of down-tempo, and it has a relaxed quality that's really fun to kind of kick back on the drums.
But I'll be gone, gone, gone.
Hi, I'm Bill Patton, and I play guitar for Mindy Lind.
Bill Patton is a living legend. All these old school Seattle music nerds are just like, have a halo around Bill Patton, and I feel that way as well. His style is so just, I don't want to say relic because it's a bad word, but really it's just this piece of Seattle history that is held in people like him.
I've probably been in 100 bands.
I fell in love and it put me in a bad mood. That's what this song is about.
Bad Mood is my newest song. I feel like love has so much hope, and if you start to think about all that hope, it can really just be like an awful feeling, really. Inside of every belief, you have hope, and then you have a bad mood. And that was just exploring that, like, wow, this new love is amazing and exciting, and also like potentially underneath is like the worst mood ever.
This thing, what it feels like. And mostly what I got is this bad, bad mood.
like everybody else, I'm like a mess of a person, and if you listen to my songs at all, it'll be very obvious that I'm not very inspiring. I'm more like sad. What is interesting to me is that that I'm a complex person, and then I think one could easily look at me and not see that, because that's what I mostly get is like a few standard, like, you're this and this. But like what drives me is definitely these things that impassion me that I can't say no to. You know, like crip culture, once I started thinking about it, I was like, yeah, like that's really important. That's gonna affect my art. That's gonna affect my bad mood.
What it feels like. 'Cause
it would drive me crazy to not be participating as a creative person. It would more than drive me crazy. I don't know how I would like move or, you know, live.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that's it for tonight's Band in Seattle. If you want to hear more, check us out on bandinseattle.com, where you can hear full concerts and find links for more information about our bands and where they're playing next. Sean?
Thanks, Sander. And to stay in touch with what's up in the local band scene, check out my program, The Mixtape. It's on mynorthwest.com and also Cairo Radio.
Thanks for watching. Join us next week for more great music and great stories on Band in Seattle.